and welcome to day 7 of the Tokyo Paralympic Games here at the Ariake Gymnastics Centre. It's day 4 of the Boccia tournament here in Japan, and it is a fascinating game which is based around strategy, tactics and skill, of course, and the dynamics of the match can change end to end in this thrilling discipline. Across the tournament, athletes can play in the mixed pairs or individuals, and today we're concentrating on the singles matches in the pool matches, trying to book their places into the semi-finals of the tournament.
Truly, we are in luxurious times for what we get to begin with. What a meeting. David Smith of Great Britain, the world #1, to take on Witsanu Huatprodi of Thailand, the world #2. That for passage to the semi-final stage of the BC1 individual competition. And these are two of the very finest. Those of you who are long-time fans of the sport of boccia will know all about these two, but let us indulge in the tale of the tape just for a moment. We start with Witsanu Huatprodi of Thailand. 4 matches played, 3 wins, and that's the crucial thing. Second in his group, and as a result of that, now taking on David Smith, who topped his group, leading to that rarest of situations where a world #1 and world #2 meet this comparatively early on in the competition. They have extraordinary accomplishments, Paralympic titles, gold medals, world championship honours. Oliveira is the referee for the contest, does some wonderful work with a club called Spinnaker in Belgium, where he works as the chairman of a sports facility that gives great opportunities to children who have impairments. Now he is tasked with looking after this most intriguing match. Witsanu Huatprodi of Thailand, this is how he has got to the quarter-final stage of the competition. The loss against Weilun Chu of Malaysia in a tiebreaker, most challenging contest for him. Otherwise has looked good. 3-2 win, narrow against Jung Sung-jun of Republic of Korea in his final match. Gold medalist in London in the team competition, twice a team world champion in 2014 and 2018, and lost to David Smith in the final of the World Championship in Beijing. David Smith victorious in 2 matches before the loss to Eduardo Sanchez Reyes of Mexico, and then Nakamura Takumi of Japan, dispatched 11-1, a very good return to form for the world #1, the 32-year-old from Southampton on the south coast of England, taking on the gentleman from Nakhon Nayok in the centre of Thailand, a province whose name originally means the tax-free city, which possibly refers to an exemption of the rice fields from taxation back in the 11th century. So don't get too excited, it's not still tax-free. It's provincial seal and elephant holding an ear of rice. Climate-wise, just a touch different from Swansea, where David Smith spends a great deal of his time. He's a most accomplished graduate of aerospace engineering from Swansea University. A fine drummer as well, and a great enthusiast for World War II aircraft. Well, this is fascinating. We are well set up here, are we not?
We are indeed, and it's going to be a fascinating competition between these two players, world #1 versus world #2. And if you are new to boccia, welcome along. We'd love to have you along watching. If you are unsure of how it works, the individual games consist of 4 ends, and each player has 6 balls, and the aim is to get closest to the white ball that you will see David Smith just warming up with very shortly. He will set the jack on the court, and then you'll see him warming up. But the point is, you want to get closest.
Well, one thing that he has certainly managed to get close to is Paralympic glory. He is the reigning individual champion from the Games in Rio de Janeiro.
So, David Smith is first up. It is decided by a coin toss, and he is setting the jack now. Red always starts in boccia, and it is a relatively short ball from the 32-year-old. So time's up in the top left as well. ticking down for 5 minutes in the BC1 category. We've got BC1, BC2, BC3 and BC4 in the Boccia tournament, individuals, pairs and teams. 5 minutes is set for David Smith per end to throw all of his 6 balls, and that's a good start from David Smith, who has set up an excellent, you can hear all around the arena here, lots of support for the Paralympic GB 2016 champion as well in Rio.
Yeah, beautifully delivered with the first shot from David Smith, who is so accustomed to taking control of a contest from start to finish. You have to be that sort of player if you are the reigning Paralympic champion, if you have been what he has been, which is, well, he currently is the Triple Crown champion, the man who holds all of the honours, continental level, world championship level and Paralympic level. But all of that rendered insignificant when the contest itself begins. It's not played out on paper.
So as you can see, the jack that David Smith has set there, that ball is out, but the jack is incredibly heavy. You can see the man from Thailand was trying to push off David Smith's defending ball there, but it almost didn't make any impact because of a very soft ball that David Smith has thrown.
Different approach on that occasion, and just nestling in.
Well, he did slightly open it up on his first ball, as you saw it went out for a dead ball, but it did open up the jack a bit more, so he was able to then use his second ball to nestle up against the jack. 4 balls remaining then from this end. Needs to get closest to that white target.
And paramount, naturally, is the desire for each player to be the last to play, to seize control of the end at the latter stages.
All balls are soft, medium and hard, and this is why it's so fascinating as a game of strategy, because when do you play the right ball? And that's exactly where we're at now in this end. Even though it's very early on in the match, every single throw is very well calculated.
Applause from the Great Britain camp. Most appreciative of that. It's one of the great features of this sport, is that players will acknowledge when their opponent has produced something of top quality. That was it. Judged beautifully.
What's important here is he's built up a defensive circle around the jack now to try and make it a bit more difficult for David Smith. What he'll try and do here is open it up a little bit. He might try a roll on top to try and move the jack away from the defending 3 balls. Or he might try a smash maybe, just to open it up. Let's see what David Smith decides to do here. Pacey, a smash. More of a lob, actually. The smash usually goes along the ground, but it was a pacey old ball, and it opened it up for David Smith to have a real better line to the jack.
His reaction indicative that it was almost there or thereabouts, but plenty of time.
Just trying to push off the opponent's ball there a little bit, give himself some more space. He wants to open it up so that he can try and get more of his remaining balls closest to the jack, but while also thinking, well, hang on a minute, my opponent's still got 2 balls left at this end. I've got to defend while attacking.
Yeah, come on.
Happy with that one. Love hearing the cheers. Obviously, we haven't got anyone here spectator-wise because of what's been happening around the world in the last 18 months or so. So this is all behind closed doors, but you can hear the cheers from the Paralympic GB team, who are, I have to say, one of the top 3 vocal we've seen here. Brazil also very vocal. But it's been lovely to hear.
It's most interesting, actually, when one talks to athletes, the extent to which they are affected by there being no spectators. Some athletes will talk about loving the energy of a crowd. Some athletes will say, quite frankly, I never even notice if there's one there or not. It's not a case you can have a hard and fast rule for every single athlete. It's only them that knows exactly what they feel, as we have the chance to see the referee in action measuring for the first time in this contest.
So the reason why he's measuring is because he's not quite sure whose go it is next, basically, because whoever has got the closest ball, we'll see, he'll hold a paddle up in a moment that will say, and it looks like it's David Smith who is being shown that it's his go. So an important final ball here in this first end for David Smith. Athletes are allowed to come and have a look and see exactly what move he's going to do next. But you have to say, this is quite a tricky first end for the world number 1.
And one would say, from a neutral perspective, it's everything you want from a contest between the top 2 players in the world. It's tight, it's at the moment very well matched.
Words of encouragement around. He has pushed off the blue ball that was causing him a bit of bother there, and he's managed to, as it stands, take a 2-0 lead. Brady just coming to have a look now, as we see the replay there of David Smith's final ball. In BC1, players are eligible for assistance, so that's why they can see the team member just sitting behind them who will come and help. Because BC1, they tend to throw with their hands or their feet, but they are eligible to someone who faces the player. In other categories, such as BC3, the athlete, the assistant rather, will not face the court. 2 balls remaining then. Already a tense start to this one.
Ah, yes, indeed.
What exactly happened there? I think the intention was to move the jack closer to his blue ball, which he was initially quite happy with. However, so that's the end of that one. He's decided not to take his final ball there. There'll be a minute between ends, but it is Msano Pradi who has taken a 1-0 lead heading into the second end of this BC1 individuals mixed quarter-final match to get into the semi-finals. As you can see there, confirmation of a 1-0 lead.
Oh, it's beautiful judgment right at the end. Super shot, and electing not to take his final delivery, and this is the old debate of risk and reward in a sport like this. You can gamble and go for that extra point and then find yourself actually conceding it and giving the advantage back to your opponent, but that was a big shot, a high-quality shot.
Oh, so we go again for N2. 1 minute break is a good time for the athletes to reset, start again, and view this end as a completely new challenge. Boccia changes incredibly quickly end to end. You think you've got a healthy lead heading into the midway point sometimes, and suddenly your opponent scores 6 and the game completely changes.
A very different length of jack to commence the second end.
Yep, set quite a long jack there. Very different from David Smith, who tends to favour the short. However, once you start going down on points and start trailing, most players have a backup jack set point, if that makes sense. A jack up set point, you know what I mean? And they'll start going shorter or longer to try and challenge their opponent in a different way and start to change tactics. So when you're hearing about boccia players and how tactical this game is, it really, really is. Because there's so many different things they can do to throw off their opponent. So first ball is thrown.
Good length to get things underway from Witsanu Huatpuri.
Probably not exactly what he would want here, because what he's actually done is, though that the length is pretty long, you'll see even on that shot there, which is a good shot to show what I'm about to say, the line is very clear for David Smith there. He is a right-hander. Yeah, I believe he's a right-hander. I'm gonna see now if I'm put into but the position will be interesting here. He's me left-handed now, isn't he? Yeah. Yeah, he's a left-hander. In fairness, on my TV, he's right-handed. Don't think it works like that, does it? Anyway, first ball then for David Smith.
Come on. Yeah!
Excellent
Well,
shot.
I never. That is exquisite quality from David Smith.
The accuracy in that shot was excellent, and it was just what I was saying. That line was clear for David Smith. And it's just a beauty.
Yes, the reaction of a player who knows that they have seized control of the end in the very early stages. Fascinating to see the response that we now get from the gentleman who began playing remarkably only 13 years ago, a 37-year-old, a total contrast to his opponent today. And those of you who are real fans across the wide pantheon of precision sports will know that Thailand is a nation with a great love affair with all forms of precision sport. They have a massive community of players, numbering into 6 figures. The tonk is particularly hugely popular in Thailand. It was introduced by the royal family after one of them spent a lot of time in Switzerland. It's been made part of compulsory military training and civil service training in Thailand, and boccia has grown exponentially, so much down to this gentleman and his great success, along with his teammates Wacharapon Vongsa, Mongkol Jitsangiem and Pate Tadtong, the Paralympic champions in the team competition in London.
Interesting to see what Rod Pradi does now, because he's setting up a defensive line, but he still needs to break through to be the closest blue ball, and he's not done that yet. And you only get 6 balls in an end. He's got a 1-0 lead. He's got nearly just under 2 minutes left for his final 2 balls. He's got plenty of time to think about this one, but David Smith, you have to say, is in quite a strong position here with 5 balls remaining and 4 minutes left on the clock.
Touch problematic. All of it coming as a result of that most magnificent weight made on the first delivery with an impeccable line to match by David Smith. Well, that's the position to be in, isn't it? To just be sitting and watching and knowing your chances are coming.
Heavy defence there from the man from Thailand. I would assume, yeah, David Smith will come and have a look at this one. And it'll be incredibly interesting now to see what he decides to do, because he's still leading this match. That red ball is the closest ball. But now he's got to break this heavy defence that has been put in front of him. Ball 6 being asked for. All the balls are different. You'll hear certain players asking for different balls, differing for what he wants to do. I think he might go for a pretty pacey ball here, but let's have a look. Clever that, because he has to also be quite careful, because his ball is still in a pretty strong position. So if he goes too strong and knocks his own ball out of play, or doesn't manage to, or you know, you run the risk of putting your opponent's ball closer as well. So it's a really tricky finish to this second end for David Smith. 3 minutes left, still plenty of time for the remaining balls that he has, which is 4. He's gone for ball number 5. Did that one again, David Smith, and that was a smash right in there to break that defence, and you can see exactly there the tactics working out. Perfect ball really from David Smith there, not only opening it up for himself to be closer to the jack. There is still a little bit of a problematic ball, I'd say, to the around the jack, if you can see where he goes next. He's definitely opened it up for himself a lot more. 3 balls remaining.
Yeah.
There's another one that was there or thereabouts.
You see, he was slightly disappointed in that one, and that's because he was trying to get it a little bit closer to the jack, and the pace was just off slightly because it knocked into a different ball, but it still gives him a perfect opportunity here to push on his ball closer. Trails 1-0 in this second end.
Yep. Up. Yeah!
Oh, yes! Now that's a bit of magic, isn't it, from David Smith?
The pace on that one to achieve the roll on top was excellent. And that is a brilliant shot from the man from Southampton. And before it even had contact with the other balls, he was already celebrating. He knew that line was excellent.
They do, don't they? The elite athletes, they just know the moment they release it that they've got it right. He's been playing this sport long enough to know the second it leaves his hand. Started when he was 6 years old in primary school, and was a fascinating relationship that he had early on with the sport. And we've got a fascinating relationship with the scoreboard about to develop here for David Smith of Great Britain.
So,
couple for the British athlete.
great comeback from David Smith in the second end there. Now leads this match 2-1, heading into the halfway point. I think he had hoped for maybe a couple more points there, but I don't think he'll be too disappointed with now a 2-1 lead heading into the third end. The game consists of 4 ends, so 2 more to go of exactly what we've seen. 6 balls, 1 jack for each player.
It will be one of those ends, actually, as we look back at the finest moments from it, and there was very fine moments indeed in that end. But maybe from both players' perspectives, Juan pretty reasonably happy to escape from that with only concession of a couple, and Smith pleased to take the lead.
Yeah.
It's still anyone's contest.
Yep. Up. Yeah!
That was the showpiece moment. The shot of the day thus far from Great Britain's David Smith.
I think he'll be playing that one back a couple of times this evening, no matter what the score outcome will be. Trying to get into the semi-finals of the individual BC1 Boccia tournament here at the Ariake Gymnastics Centre. And it is David Smith to set the jack.
You see that return to the shorter delivery that he favours.
So this could be quite a soft ball, you would think, at this point, to try and defend that jack.
Yeah!
Interesting opening ball there. He seems pleased, so that's what matters at this point. 2-1, David Smith leads.
He's the kind of player with 1,000,001 strategies. And the ability to adapt fast to the fluid dynamics of the Boccia contest. As is this individual, the 37-year-old, reigning Asian Paragames champion in both individual and team competition. A very strong squad that performed for Thailand at the Jakarta Paralympic Games.
Second Paralympic Games. First was London 2012, where he took gold in the team BC1, BC2 category, and 7th in the individual BC1.
Oh, that's a great shot. Judged it extremely well, and that has negated much of the positive impact of Smith's opener.
Pushed on that jack to give a little bit of space. It's just making sure there that all of his wheels were inside the box, and that's because, as we just watched the replay of that shot, got to make sure they are in, otherwise they face a penalty. And that's why he's just asking the assistant there to double check that everything is okay. Second ball then for the world number 2. Interestingly, the split between left-handed and right-handed amongst those with cerebral palsy is roughly 50-50, compared to 10% amongst the general population in the world.
30 seconds.
Bring with my facts here. Love a stat.
White.
David Smith, when he's not an ambassadorial figure, actually on the field of play as an elite athlete, he's the most respected advocate for independent living for people with disability. Based in Swansea, training at the much respected Swansea Boccia Club. I think what's so fascinating about David Smith as an athlete is that perhaps the most impressive thing about him is not, and this is a bizarre thing to posit, it's not that he is the Triple Crown champion, it's not the Paralympic title, it's not the World Championship title, the European Championship title, it's the fact that when he first played the sport, he didn't win an end for 5 years.
Wow.
And he has spoken with great frankness about how bad he was when he started playing. And I just wonder, those of you out there who played the sport, those of you who are new to watching it, we ask ourselves the frank question, would we still go on for 5 years, having never won an end? And he's gone from that to being the finest player in the world, to being the Olympic champion, the perseverance in handling defeat after defeat, not failing to win a match for 5 years, but a single end for 5 years, defeat upon defeat upon defeat. And it did not get the better of him. And look at where he's ended up. He's now the person that inflicts that on everyone else.
It's a fascinating competition between these two, world number 1 versus world number 2. And I think defeat is what every athlete has to go through. And a lot of them mention it's the thing that makes them stronger. And we all have to go through that sort of thing in life, don't we? Defeat does happen. And it's how you handle it. And clearly David Smith handled it incredibly well. Five other matches going on around us at the Ariake Centre. That's why you can hear cheering from other matches as well, but we're going to concentrate on this individual BC1 quarter-final match between these two remarkable players.
The sort of contest where one gets the sense we're going to be guessing right down to the final couple of deliveries. That was masterfully played. The line on that from Juan Prodi was a treat. Didn't have a great deal to work with in terms of the position of the closest ball to him from Smith, and judged it to perfection, really. Although it is a closed doors competition, the delegations are playing their part. The lovely setting of the Ariake Gymnastics Centre.
Yeah. Oh.
Unhappy with that, David Smith. Went for a pacey smash, but the ball went out of play. Didn't quite do what he wanted it to do. He thought it was. And just at the end, the disappointment. 2 balls are remaining for David Smith of this in this end. Prodi has two deliveries to go. 1 minute 40 on the clock for David Smith left for his final 2 deliveries. And he leads this match as it stands, 2-1. But he is trying to win this 3rd end. Another end to come off the back of this, and if it goes to a draw, we go to tie breaks. And they are ever so tense.
Yeah!
Oh, beautiful. Just beautiful. That was a bold shot to play.
It was bold, but that line he had, he knew that he had the perfect line, and that comes with how long David Smith has been playing and how much silverware he does have in his trophy cabinet. And he does have a lot.
Might be going to get even more before the competition here in Tokyo is done and dusted. What does this gentleman have in response, though?
Pushed off rather. David Smith's ball actually a bit there, closer to the jack. So you can imagine he would be not quite as happy as he could have been with that shot. Interesting as well, you have to remember here, David Smith does have a ball remaining. So this is Heradi's last ball. And so the final say will go to the world number 1, David Smith.
Not quite. There, the reaction that confirms what is strikingly obvious when staring at your screen.
So David Smith will win this end, but can he make it one more with his final ball? By my eye, it is 3. However, I prefer the referee's eye, so we will get confirmation at the end of the match.
The referee also prefers that too.
Yes, yes. End of the match will be after end 4. This is the 3rd end of the 4. David Smith leading the match overall, 2-1. See what he has in this final ball. a little nod of the head. Not particularly happy with that last ball, but I think it's going to be 3-0.
Well, he's put himself into a most compelling position now, David Smith of Great Britain.
You could hear those cheers rumbling around this empty stadium. So let's see what Ronnie van Asht has to say. I think it'll be 3 at this point. 3 reds. Confirmation there then. David Smith takes a 5-1 lead heading into this decisive final end in the quarter-final match between these two pairs. The world number 1 versus the world number 2 in the BC1 individuals quarter-final.
Could well be that we've just witnessed the game changer there. Marvellous play from Smith.
Yeah! Go!
It's a lot now to ask of
Come on!
Sami Bapadi. But
Go!
he is a player who's used to delivering a lot.
Yeah! Oh.
Again, you don't accumulate his collection of honours without knowing how to manage your way out of difficult situations. He's had some close contests already at these Paralympic Games. Whether he can make it a close contest now, that's for you watching at home to argue amongst yourselves about. We'll see. We're going to get the definitive answer very shortly because the 4th and final end is to begin. And he trails quite handsomely by 4.
He does gain an advantage here, though, being the one to set the jack, which essentially means you set the game to his own length and what suits him as a player. So they usually set it on their side of the court as well to make it even more difficult for their opposition to get a good position. It is a short jack.
It's interesting, isn't it? Strikingly different from his first decision to play that very long jack in the second.
Trailing at this point, so when in a match overall you're starting to trail, especially heading into the final end, you need to do something a bit different. And that is exactly what has happened here. Good first ball thrown from Brady there. So, David Smith then, in this final end of this thrilling match between two of the world's greats.
Yeah, very well played shot by Smith, just opening things up a touch. Creating space to work with. He's made very good decisions thus far. He tends to make very good decisions, obviously.
It's a fascinating player to watch, David Smith, because he adapts to every match and every situation that's thrown at him, and maybe that goes back to what you were saying about the amount of ends that he lost at the beginning of his career and how much he learned from those defeats. So, second ball is a clear, good shot there from David Smith. So tricky at this point because you need to make the jack in your first ball essentially the size of a court to try and stop your opposition from getting in an advantage. And what he's done there is exactly that. You don't want to knock that jack out of play either, because it then would be repositioned, and the balls that you've already thrown, it gets repositioned into the middle of the court where there is a little square and it gets put onto the cross. And when it's this close to the boundary line, that can happen. So it's a dead ball, that one. That is his second ball.
Well, just for clarification, 5-1, the advantage to David Smith of Great Britain, world number 1.
Importantly, in this final end as well of the match, to try and book their place into the semi-finals of this individual BC1 tournament. After this, we go to the pairs and then we go to the teams. So plenty of boccia action still to come.
Acknowledgement from Smith, watching on. That was a useful shot produced by the 37-year-old. Great respect these athletes have for each other. Know each other's game. There can't be many surprises when Smith faces Wadbrady.
I think there's always surprises in boccia.
Touché. And probably always surprises from players of this quality.
That's what's so fascinating about sport, and especially this sort of tactical sport. Things can change very quickly. David Smith up there. Just going for a push on of his own ball there. Try and get going straight through the space in the middle of the two blues.
Breaks. 5.
If I remember rightly, 5 was a bit of a harder ball, so he might try for a smash here, but let's see. Yes.
Yeah.
Well administered too. That's created much prettier picture for him.
There is that line still left open, though, for Brady. balls remaining for Quad Prodi. Was a good delivery. So it will be David Smith with his final 2 balls of this end and the final 2 balls potentially of this match. He is leading 5-1, trying to book his place into the semi-finals.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to help.
I think he said solved that one. I'm assuming you mean solved that issue that he had.
If you have a degree in aerospace engineering, you're used to solving problems.
So just coming out to have a look as you see David Smith heading back to his box there. Lovely cheers going on for other matches going on. It really does mean so much, these games, to a lot of people. Quite clearly. Worked incredibly hard as well as it being delayed too. Final ball then of this end for Great Britain's David Smith, the world #1.
He's well positioned. He's asking an awful lot of Quad Prodi to turn this around.
Prodi has got 2 balls to do it in. Let's just have a look at this final ball. And David Smith, importantly at this point of the match, has a 5-1 lead.
Well, what now for the 37-year-old to keep alive prospects of individual gold at these Paralympics? It's the quarter-final stage. It's the one that's agonisingly close when it comes to getting towards the podium, getting a medal match.
Wow, a very interesting. We're just going to check that ball, I think. So Ronnie Van Arshay just saying that that ball is out, but that would still mean that David Smith is actually in the lead now, despite that quite pacey ball from Quad Prodi. Final ball then for Quad Prodi here.
1 minute.
Trailing 5-1 in this match overall. Final end. And it does feel tense.
He just simply does not have the resources to work with.
He's run out of balls really here to be able to win this match. With the trail that he has in this final end, overall in the match 5-1, even if he scored just 1 here, it wouldn't be enough.
He's got to clear the lot.
I think he can do that with 1 ball.
It's all or nothing. And it was a decent effort by him.
It was. End of that match then, but we have to wait for the referee just to announce it officially, but as it stands, I believe that would be, well, it's those 2 that are the problematic ones that are closest to the jacket. It could be a 1 or a different measure, and here we have a few different types of there. So clear confirmation that is 1 red for David Smith. So I mean, it was a tense one at the end of that match, but it is David Smith who wins that match 6-1 overall in the individuals BC1 quarterfinals, looking to book his place into the quarterfinals. Ronnie Van Ash just throwing around his paddle a little bit then, but it is 1 red, and David Smith has had a fantastic match there. A real good chance now to get his way into the semi-finals in the BC1 mixed individuals.
all of it really coming down to the penultimate end. That was where David Smith really opened up such scoreboard pressure on Witsanu Pradpradi. And these two Paralympic champions giving us splendid entertainment at the quarter-final stage of the competition. But as is so often the case, it's David Smith who simply plays the big shots. He makes the right decisions. His execution is quite sublime. Certainly better execution than the referee when gesticulating with the paddle at the end.
You have to remember, David Smith went down 1-0 in that first end as well. Incredibly hard.
Sometimes a deficit can be the making of a match. It can set things up most intriguingly. Whole gamut of emotions run. These great players. And in the end, because let's face it, it comes down to numeracy, it comes down to the scoreboard. It's a crude thing, and it will give us a contest that was not actually very close. Didn't feel like that as we were watching it, but it's a comprehensive-looking victory for David Smith of Great Britain.
Definitely that third end that turned everything around for David Smith, a 3-0 win in the end, which gave him a 5-1 lead heading into that final and fourth end. And all it took was a 1-0 win to win that match. David Smith then into the semi-finals for Paralympics GB, representing Great Britain after a brilliant match between the world number 1 versus the world number 2. Witsanu Pradpradi.
Or even Witsanu Pradpradi of Thailand. We're all feeling the tension here, aren't we? It's a big,
I like the way you
big
said it,
day. It's a big, big day, and it was a big match between two big players, two elite performers in the sport of boccia. And if that was the first time you've had the opportunity to watch it, I hope you enjoyed it a great deal, and hope that you've cancelled any plans you have for the next little while, because there's more to come, much more to come, in the beautiful setting of the Ariake Gymnastics Centre in the Tokyo Bay area, the Odaiba, part of this magical city, one of the finest on earth. And a brand new venue designed for the Olympic Games. Its first outing was the Trampoline Gymnastics World Championships in 2019. It hosted the gymnastics competitions at the Tokyo 2020 Games, and is made principally out of wood as a primary material to be sustainable and also to honour traditional Japanese architecture. 2,500 cubic meters of wood went into the design of this lovely sustainable space. And hopefully that has sustained your fascination with boccia as the contests will go on in due course.
Let's now do the recap of the semi-finalists. On court 3, Malaysia, Wei Duan. On court 4, Great Britain, David Smith. Court 5, Brazil, Jose Carlos Chagas de Oliveira. Court 6, Portugal, Andre Ramos. And the athletes in the semi-final matches are as follows. Malaysia's Wei
Hello and welcome to day 7 of the Tokyo Paralympic Games here at the Ariake Gymnastics Centre, and we're watching a fascinating game, Boccia. Day 4 of the tournament here in Japan, and it's an incredibly fascinating game based around strategy, tactics and skill. The dynamics of the match can change incredibly quickly, end to end in this thrilling match. Here's where we're at, the quarterfinals, semi-finals now. And we're going to have a fantastic match between Daniel Michel and Adam Peška. Daniel Michel from Australia, Peška from the Czech Republic. And here is our 2 athletes we're going to be concentrating on today in the individual BC3 semi-final.
As if it were necessary to add a little extra tension, a little extra intrigue, we have the added guarantee that you will be involved in a conversation about medals if you win this one. Semi-final stage of the competition. The obstacle that now faces these athletes as they renew their quest for Paralympic glory. Daniel Michel, the 26-year-old from New South Wales, the city of Sydney. World number 4, Adam Peška of Czech Republic, the small community of Havladova Biela. World number 8 ranked player. Gentleman on the right of your screen. And a debutant at this level, experienced in World Championship competition back in 2018 when he competed in Liverpool. And he's taking on an individual who really did create and generate an enormous amount of interest in the sport of boccia when he became in Rio the first Australian athlete at the Games since 2000. His mother spoken of how she was absolutely in tears during the opening ceremony of those Games, realising then not how far he'd gone, but how far he was going to go, that there was still a greater journey as we look at Selena Hernandez, who is in charge of this contest. The path thus far for these athletes, for Adam Peška, the 24-year-old, he opened with a 3-2 victory over Anantenta of Greece. Very commanding in the win against Samir van der Berken. A tougher contest in the meeting with Alexander Legostayev, and a 7-3 win against Jong Ho-won of Korea Republic. As for Daniel Michel of Australia, he opened his account emphatically so against Sombun Chaipanish of Thailand, 9 without reply. Then similarly dominant against Maria Björström of Sweden, a narrow loss against Evelyn de Oliveira of Brazil in the final pool match, and then back on track, 8-0 in the quarterfinal stage over Kim Han-soo of the Republic of Korea. All of that has taken us to the last 4 of the competition. Michel, a World Championship bronze medalist in the individual competition from the 2018 edition in the city of Liverpool, along with a mixed silver medal. It won't be too long now until we get underway in the Ariake Gymnastics Centre. Beautiful setting on the shores of Tokyo Bay, the Odaiba area. It's a lovely passageway that one takes to get to this particular part of the city on the Eureka Mome line that intersects this area of reclaimed land with the city proper. You journey between the buildings on this high train line. Gives you a great view of one of the most architecturally fascinating cities on Earth. On the subject of things that are architecturally fascinating, Boccia, because we're going to see some great constructions out on the court in just a moment.
Individual BC3 semi-final about to get underway then. Adam Peška going to be the one to set the jack after a coin toss determined that he would set the jack first. So, just to explain the rules of boccia, individual games consist of 4 ends. In those 4 ends, one end consists of 6 balls each for each athlete. And the idea is that you set the jack and get your ball or balls closest to that white target. It sounds simple, but it becomes a game of strategy, tactics. And it really is quite thrilling, intense to watch. Quite a long ball there from Adam Peška. Then, to get us underway from the Czech Republic, BC1, BC2, BC3, BC4 are the categories in boccia. And BC3 is one with athletes who have the most severe impairments. They can't use their hands or feet. They use what we're seeing there, which is a pointer and a ramp. Their assistants alongside them as well, who also win a medal because they play such a huge part in this. And they do, as you can see, face away from the court as the first ball is playing. They can't speak to their athlete. They can only communicate about what they would like the ramp to be moved at or what positioning they would like to be. But as you can see, they don't face the court.
Peška's very first assistant was his mother. To practice in the corridors at primary school, to take every possible opportunity to refine his technique. Daniel Michel has been working with Ashley McClure for some time. Also his personal care attendant. They've got a very strong relationship. She's spoken with great conviction about the attention to detail that Michel has as a player, the great reading of the game. And you expect that as well from his opponent, from Peška. He's a skilled computer programmer, somebody who understands how to see something incredibly complex that most cannot fathom and turn it into something readable.
Six minutes in the top left has now ticked down for the Australian to 4 minutes 45. That will be the amount of time that Daniel Michel has left to take his 5 balls that are remaining. So quite a lot of time still remaining for the New South Wales man. Most memorable moment is winning gold at the 2019 World Open in Hong Kong in China. And he's hoping to go for gold here in the Tokyo 22 Paralympic Games. And he's set himself into a good position to try for it in this semi-final match against Adam Peška.
Yes, that triumph in Hong Kong, one of 4 World Opens that he's won.
All right.
Really quite substantial improvements that he has made as a competitor in recent years. And one thinks that in the World Championships in Beijing, he was 36th. It was back in 2014. It's been a time of exponential development for him.
Second Paralympic Games for Daniel Michel. He last competed in the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games. He finished individual 15th. So as you say, interesting change here as he's made his way to the semi-finals. Put himself in a position to win a medal here. So just trying to push on his own ball there to try and get it a little bit closer to the jack. At the moment, still Adam Peška, the red defending ball, still closer at the moment. Lots of support in the centre for both these athletes. No fans, of course, because of the changing conditions of the world over the last 18 months, which saw these games delayed in 2020, of course. And these athletes have had to wait a long time for this opportunity. 2.5 minutes left then on the clock for Daniel Michel, with 3 balls remaining in this end.
That was wonderfully judged. Superb shot from Michel.
A great line, because he's also set up 2 defensive balls around the red ball, which essentially means he's set up a nice wall for Adam Peška of the Czech Republic, world number 8 versus world number 4.
It was played with millimetre precision. It's given Peška quite a task now. Peška has said some very interesting things over the years about the psychology of boccia matches, and for him it comes down to one simple principle, which is, it doesn't matter how heavily you're losing, how heavily you're winning, you don't give up on the contest. You don't assume that you've done enough to get over the line. You don't think, well, it's lost now, it's done, and start to take your focus elsewhere. He's very much one of those athletes, as so many elite athletes are, who is able to deliver high intensity from start to finish.
Booked his place into the semi-finals in his first Paralympic Games. Last competition finished 7th in the individual BC3 in 2019 in Spain. See what he was trying to do there, which was push on the jack to open it up more, to give himself some more space. You'll hear the time callers around calling different times, but the times we need to pay attention to are the top left here. So 3.5 minutes left for Adam Peška to take his final 4 balls. I say final 4. There's 4 balls in this end. 2 balls remaining for the Australian, Daniel Michel. You'll see Adam Peška very precise with the middle of the ball there to get the line exactly right with his pointer. Get that quite slightly off even, and the ball almost spins, and it will spin in the wrong direction. So important accuracy for these athletes here. Right in the middle of the ball, which sees the straight line pushing off that blue ball to create some more space.
Watching on the Czech delegation.
Been playing a long time, this athlete. Started playing boccia at the age of 12. He actually got involved with boccia through Parent Project, which is a non-profit organisation in the Czech Republic, set up by parents of children that want to get involved in boccia.
It's had some very high-scoring wins in the competition so far. Daniel Michel is a player who is more than capable of really hitting opponents hard with some big scoring ends. Most impressive in the quarter-final win. 8 points without reply against Kim Han-soo.
Final ball then in this end for Daniel Michel. As you can see, some of the other Australian athletes there watching their teammate in action. They've already played their matches and able to sit in and watch. Good thing about the Paralympic Games as well is, unlike in the Olympics where athletes had to go home immediately, the athletes here stay a little bit longer because they share assistants. So that means there's more of a crowd come the gold medal times towards the end of the games. So, good shot there from Daniel Michel in his final ball of this end. Pacey one, which opened up the game a lot more, but however, didn't quite get the position I think he was after there, because that red ball from Adam Peshka still closer. However, you can see he's tried to set up a bit of a defence there, but there is a clear line towards the jack. 2 balls remaining for Adam Peshka in this end. 3 ends off the back of this, which will just determine who heads into the finals.
The line most compelling from Adam Peshka. Surprised that they are optimistic. With even more to be accomplished with this final delivery. Put himself in a decent scoreboard position, 24-year-old. That is going to do the trick very nicely. So Adam Peshka with a positive start to the contest.
Confirmation there. Adam Peshka takes a 3-0 lead then, heading into the second end against Daniel Michel of Australia. Confirmation there in the individual BC3 semi-final. Adam Peshka 3-0 up as they try and book their place into the finals to win a medal.
It has been clear in this competition that Daniel Michel can score very, very highly, and he's going to need to, because he's been issued with a stern rebuke from Adam Peshka at the start of this match. Sometimes athletes produce their very finest work when they have been dealt an early setback by the opponent. We shall see if that's the case for the 26-year-old from Australia.
Boccia changes incredibly quickly end to end. You can be leading 3-0 heading into the halfway point, And you can see the match completely open up and be completely different by the end of it, and you can be trailing 6-3. So it's an incredibly interesting game that changes in the blink of an eye. Individual matches taking place, as well as the pairs for the BC3 and the BC4. And then also chances for more medals for these athletes in the team BC1, BC2 competition also. We don't have teams for the BC3 and the BC4, just like we don't have pairs for the BC1 and BC2. So, second end underway here at the Ariake Gymnastics Centre between Daniel Michel, representing Australia, and Adam Peška from the Czech Republic. And it is that man from the Czech Republic, the world number 8, who is leading this match 3-0 in this second end now. But all to play for here for Daniel Michel from New South Wales.
Well, his very finest work tends to come the moment that he puts on the national colours. He has said with real gravity that the responsibility of competing for Australia does not ever wear off. That is to him a privilege and honour, but also it carries with it a sense of responsibility and need to deliver his very finest work at all times whilst wearing those colours, whilst wearing the flag. But he has a job to do thus far, courtesy of this positive start from Adam Peška, from a small village in the centre of Czech Republic, Havladova Biela. Population of about 450 people. It was founded in 1282 with the building of a wooden church that established it as a small community. Trains at the Lichebna Košumberk club.
Still plenty of boccia to come over the next few days as well, with the pairs and the teams. Also a good reason why these athletes are still here and able to watch these individuals, as we still have plenty of competition to go. But for now, let's concentrate on the individual BC3 semi-final between these two athletes, Daniel Michel of Australia and Adam Peška, representing the Czech Republic. Early in this second end, overall in the match, it is Adam Peška who leads 3-0. Good defense from Adam Peška there. Not setting the jack, so you must try and take control of this end early on, because you are at a disadvantage when your opponent is setting the jack.
He hasn't had too many massively high-scoring wins thus far, the young man from Czech Republic. Certainly seemed to be getting stronger and stronger heading into the quarter-final stage, which is exactly what you want. It doesn't really matter how you win your matches in the group stage, as long as you win them. You start to get through to the knockout stages, then each victory builds greater morale, builds confidence, and it's nothing like a good high-scoring win, which he did have against Jong Hon Won in the last 8, 7-3. For Michel, it was at 15 that he was introduced to the sport. a camp that was run by Muscular Dystrophy New South Wales. It was a demonstration, as is often the way that a youngster gets introduced to something. And for Michel, he put it most poetically when he said that it was something he took to like a gust of wind. So, beautiful choice of language, actually, because for him it was that sense of purpose that in life he was lacking. He said very frankly that he had no ambitions whatsoever in life before taking up boccia, and thought that sport would simply never be an option for him, would never be something that he would be able to do. And he is a player who, at 26, is getting stronger and stronger with every single competition. There's very much such a thing as Paralympic form. You peak at exactly the right time for the biggest competition of all.
So 6 pools of 24 athletes, making their way down to 8 for the quarterfinals. The top 2 second-placed athletes qualified into the quarterfinals. Now we're down to the final 4 in the BC3 semi-finals. There is a match to determine the bronze medal as well. And I'm sure these 2 athletes will see nothing but gold as it stands. The target is clear at this point in the semi-finals. So 3 balls remaining for the Australian of this end. 1 minute 45 left on the clock to do it. And he is defending well from Adam Peshka here, trying to block as much as he can for the line for Adam Peshka. That ball is close enough to the jack. Just pushed on his own ball to give it a nudge a little bit closer towards the jack. Celebrations from the Australian team for that move. Adam Peshka then. Plenty of time left on the clock. And 4 balls remaining in this end. Working alongside his assistant, Ivana Peskova. Interesting line, that one. If it had hit the jack a little bit more square on, it would have actually knocked it out of play with the pace that he had. He's just trying to knock that blue ball away and knock on his ball a little bit closer, that red you see on the court, but I'm not sure it quite worked out at that angle. However, it has opened the jack up a lot more now for Adam Peshka, removing it from the blue ball.
Now the response from Daniel Michel. Very experienced internationally, debut back at the Asia and Oceania Championships in 2013. That leading into his first World Championship in 2014. As is the case across the lion's share of sports at the Olympics and Paralympic Games, we've often been referring to World Championships that were some years ago as the most recent edition, due to the most extraordinary of circumstances that have served as a backdrop for these games.
Many of these players haven't played competitively since 2019. In fact, none of them have, so it's been a really interesting contest. They may not have been at competitions, but the training these athletes do is something else.
And there we come to that interesting debate between the extent to which training can truly replicate match conditions, with this being ultimately a sport that is so action-reaction based, that is so dependent on the gambits that your opponent throws at you. Variety of opposition, very much the spice of life in the sport of boccia in terms of developing one's own game.
So that looks like the jack is out of play. So what happens now is the referee, Selena Hernandez, will pick up that white ball, the jack, and it will be placed in a very different position. It gets put into the middle of the court on the X. So there's the cross that it is going to be put onto. Pretty much all of those balls that have been played in this end are almost redundant compared to the balls that we're about to have played, because as it stands, Adam Peszka's ball is closest. However, you would assume here for the final ball from the Australian Daniel Michel, by default, he will be able to get the ball closer to the middle of the court. 30 seconds for his final ball then. If the time runs out, he won't be able to take this final delivery. It is from when the ball leaves the pointer, so it can go down to 1 second even. It's just as it leaves the pointer. So, unsurprisingly there, Daniel Michel rather has managed to get the ball closer, but Adam Peszka, even though he knocked the jack out of play, is still in an okay position here, because he's got 2 balls remaining of his 6 in this second end.
They'll be feeling some degree of optimism, confidence with the way this match is developing, with just cause. Watching on, the aforementioned Selena Hernandez, and one of the younger officials taking part in these Paralympic Games from Mexico, and for her it's something that she's spoken of, just as the athletes would, that it's been a dream come true for her to have the opportunity to officiate at the Games of the 16th Summer Paralympiad. And what she is very hopeful of, just as all the athletes are, is that more people will want to officiate based on watching her. It's not just the athletes that play an enormous role in the growth of a sport in a particular nation.
1 minute about to be called for Adam Peszka.
1 minute.
2 balls to do with him. Pacey first ball. He does lead this match overall 3-0, thanks to a 3-0 win in the first end. As it stands, it would be 1 blue. However, 1 ball remaining for Adam Peszka. Going to start running out of time soon. We have 30 seconds left on the clock.
The most favourable of angles for Peszka to line up.
Unlucky. Not quite enough pace on that one. So, as it stands, 1-0 in that end goes to Daniel Michel. But it is still Adam Peszka who leads the match 3-1 at the halfway point in the individual BC3 semi-final here at the Ariake Gymnastics Centre.
Still some way to go. This feels a quite open contest. First little response given by Daniel Michel to the 3 scored by Peshka in the opening end. Didn't quite get the last shot right of that first end, the Czech athlete, but he's made a strong start, an imposing start, considering that he's the lower ranked of the 2 athletes by several places.
Been an impressive first Paralympic Games for Adam Peshka. Into the semi-finals at the first time of asking. Whereas Daniel Michel finished 15th in the individual BC3 Paralympic Games in Rio in 2016.
And what is perhaps worth bearing in mind when we talk about world rankings, that they can be quite a blunt instrument with which to measure an athlete's success, especially in these extraordinary times whereby in a lot of sports, including this one, world rankings have been frozen and just held as they are. Now, that doesn't take into account how much better an athlete might actually have got in the intervening 12 months or so, almost 18 months in the case of the ranking hiatus from March of 2020. So we are underway in the third end, and some length put on the jack.
Adam Peshka setting quite a long jack. First ball to be delivered. Always easier when you've set the jack to know exactly what you want to do next. That's the other thing with these games, 4 ends. You get 2 chances to set the jack. So 2 chances really to take control of your specific end. You have to think about that in the end before. Wherever the game is at, or if you're trailing or if you're winning, that depends on where you set the jack for the next end. That's why this game is continuously changing all the time as the game progresses.
One of the most apposite sports psychology points that was ever made to me in a conversation I had with a precision sports player was there's real benefit to throwing in a surprise tactically to your opponent. Just beware of the fact you might surprise yourself as well. That deviations from one's own game plan can be very troublesome things to yourself as well as to your opponent.
First ball then from the Australian. I think that's going to go a little bit too wide of the jack there if it was going to have enough pace to make its way anywhere close. As you can see there, quite far off from the jack. Just needed a little bit more pace on that one to get it to reach. It's only the first ball of this end, so still plenty of time and plenty of balls left to build up an attack.
He's played a real role, Daniel Michel, in helping more people discover the sport of boccia. He's really something of a star in Australia, quite rightly so. Very much part of that is the ethos of these entire Paralympic Games, the We the 15 campaign, the decade-long quest led by a number of institutions alongside the governing body of Paralympic sports, which is to close the gap in all matters of accessibility and opportunity for people with disabilities. The 15, alluding to the 15% of the world's population, 1.2 billion people. It's a legacy of these Paralympic Games that starts here in Tokyo.
Boccia was initially designed for people with cerebral palsy, but it is now played by athletes as well who have any kind of neurological impairment that does affect their motor function. That is the BC4 category. Came on to the Paralympics back in New York in 1984. That's when it made its debut. It is now practiced in over 50 countries, and it's picking up a lot of pace and a lot more interest.
Very interesting games, those, the 1984 incarnation, New York, and also held in Stoke Mandeville in the United Kingdom. They're, for so many, the spiritual home of the Paralympic movement, going back to the 1940s. Dr. Ludwig Gutmann's spinal injury centre at the hospital in Buckinghamshire grew into the Stoke Mandeville Games, the International Games in 1952, leading to really the birth of the Paralympic movement, which Boccia now finds itself as an enormous part of, and a growing sport, a massively growing sport as well in terms of its participation worldwide.
The roots go back to Greece, even though Boccia is an Italian word. It's where players used to throw large stones at a stone target. Now, in 2021, it's definitely had a few changes. Not sure how well stones might roll. Pebbles maybe more.
Well, there's nothing that is concrete at the moment in this contest between Daniel Michel and Adam Peszka.
So, N3 underway. 3-1 is the score line to Adam Peszka from the Czech Republic, the world number 8. Daniel Michel going to run out of balls here. See what Daniel Michel is trying to do there and build up a defence around the jack. It is Adam Peszka's ball, that red ball, the first ball that was delivered onto the court for this end, is still the closest one. Final ball from Daniel Michel then of this end. It's a pacey one. And it's excellent. He's just pushed on one of his balls to be closest to the jack, whilst also enough pace to keep a second ball closer than that red ball from Adam Peszka.
That was judged exquisitely by the 26-year-old. Doesn't feel like an entirely comfortable lead for Peszka. 3-1. Plenty of time for things to change.
He is in a very good position here, however, with 4 minutes left on the clock and 5 balls still remaining to break through that defence that Daniel Michel has created in this third end. One more end to come off the back of this, which will be the deciding end, unless we go to a tie break when the scores are level. But this match will determine who heads into the final. And that is just a little bit too wide, and it's gone off the court and almost onto another one. A lot of pace on that one. Dead ball. So that could be a penalty. Adam Peshka, but let's just watch. Pacey ball from Adam Peshka. Ball does go out, but difficult line there for Adam Peshka. You can see from that camera shot we got there, you can see exactly what he has facing him.
Tricky. One minute then called for Adam Peshka to deliver his final 2 balls. He's struggling a little bit to break that defence that Daniel Michel has set up with his deliveries. It's just in time, the final delivery. Trajectory not quite there.
So final delivery from Adam Peszka there. Interesting to note as well, during that end, there was a penalty that was conceived because the box was touching the line while throwing the ball from Daniel Michel. So, as it stands at the end of end 4, Adam Peszka will get a penalty. Referee gave the signal during that end. Let's concentrate on this third end for now and see who takes the points from this one. 3-1 is the scoreline between Adam Peszka and Daniel Michel.
So the athletes now wait and watch, as we all do.
Head referee has been called over just to confirm this one because it's quite close. It will be one at least to Adam Peszka. To Daniel Michel, my apologies. Which would then give him a 3-2 still deficit, but just slicing into that advantage just a little bit, isn't he? Heading into the final end. So it looks like it's 1. Let's wait for the referee just to confirm that. From what we could hear on the microphones, it sounded like 1 for blue. Two for blue. Ball's being collected then, so ball's just being collected by the assistants there between Daniel Michel and Adam Peszka, but let's just wait for the confirmation on that one to make sure it was 2 balls. So it looks like
there are a few who are just wondering exactly what the confirmed decision is. We'll bring you that just as soon as we have received that clarification on the scoreboard as well. With these athletes now, their attention will have to turn into getting ready for the final end to take place. Well, one thing is clear, it's going to be absolutely all to play for as we head into the final end. It's going to be tight, it's going to be close, and there we have that confirmation of the aforementioned penalty ball.
so. The penalty because of Daniel Michel. Box outside where it needed to be. It was halfway through end 3 that we got the confirmation from Selena Hernandez to say there would be a penalty ball, and this is a great opportunity now for Adam Peszka to score in an end that he may not have scored in otherwise. So all balls have been removed from the playing area. The athlete will have that 1 minute to throw the penalty ball. If the ball stops inside that target box without touching the outside line, The side throwing the penalty ball is awarded 1 additional point. However,
well, there we go. The 2 points are registered by Daniel Michel. It means that we are level at 3 apiece going into what is an intriguingly set up final end.
looks like Adam Peshka missed that penalty, so it becomes 3-all in this individual BC3 semi-final match between Daniel Michel and Adam Peshka. If the scoreline remains the same at the end of this final end, we go into a tie-break.
Well, a dramatic and drawn-out conclusion to the previous end, and a test for the officials as well. And all of that leads us to what is effectively a single-end shootout between these 2 players. 3-all. And a positive conclusion for Daniel Michel, being trailed 3-0 after the first. Is the momentum with him? We shall discover. Certainly he has control in the sense of casting the jack. Graduate of Commerce from the University of Wollongong.
First ball is thrown. And it's a good ball from the Australian. 3-all is the scoreline heading into this final and deciding end. We saw a penalty in the previous end. Adam Peshka unfortunately missed, meaning for Daniel Michel, he's the one that takes the points in that third end.
One wonders if that will be one of those moments that all parties go back and ponder wistfully. Well, we shall discover the ifs, buts and maybes of elite level sport. What is absolutely clear is the gentleman playing now has got to put that out of his mind and disregard the hint of a missed opportunity. Still all to play for.
Can't wallow in the disappointment of things like that in a semi-final. He would have wanted to capitalise clearly, but we've still got a chance for a win here. 3-all.
It's one of the absolute central pillars of sports psychology, isn't it? The ability to compartmentalise things and divorce yourself from the disappointment of what might have been. Move straight on to the next shot, the next point, whatever it may be in your particular sport.
I think we might have to get the measurement out for this one. Always harder for us to see because we get a shadow of the ball as well. However, at this point, Selena Hernandez needs to know whose go it is. If the balls are said to be exactly the same measurement between the two, then it actually will remain with Adam Peshka.
They say, don't they, in the sport of boccia, you make it, you break it.
And it is Adam Peshka who is actually closer at that point. Cheers around the centre for one of the other matches going on, but we'll concentrate on this individual BC3 semi-final between Daniel Michel and Adam Peška. Michel representing Australia, Peška representing the Czech Republic. And it is the world number 4 versus the world number 8. And it is 3-3 rather on points as it stands.
It was indeed 3-0, and it's been quite a comeback from Daniel Michel. This is a very different feeling sort of match from some of those highly comfortable wins he enjoyed early on in the competition. It's as one would imagine things to be when getting to the very last stages of the tournament.
Pacey ball smashed into the jack. The ball is out. However, it did the right job and just opened the jack up a little bit more for a better line for the Australian. Adam Peška set up a nice defence despite only having 2 balls on the court as it stands. So you can see Daniel Michel taking a good hard look at that to work out the exact line that he's after.
Well, it is going to go down to the very last second, the very last delivery. It's going to keep us guessing. It's got something of a flip a coin about it, this one. Feeling that it could go in either direction.
If we go to a tie break, we will have to flip a coin to decide who starts. So 2.5 minutes on the clock for the Australian at this point, with 3 balls remaining. He did concede a penalty. They're probably just trying to be a little bit more careful with the positioning there for this final end, because this could be won with a point. We're going for a bit of a shorter ball here. Maybe trying to push on the blue closest to the jack. And that's exactly what he did.
Oh, and out.
Good shot from the Australian. Nestling a blue alongside another blue, which, as you'll see from where Adam Peška is, makes it a lot more difficult for the man from the Czech Republic.
Yes, this is going to require some very special shot making.
Four minutes left on the clock. 4 balls remaining in this final end of the BC3 mixed individual semi-final. I bet they can think that final is ever so close at this point. Excellent pushing. Daniel Michel's ball out of contention and off the court, giving him one less ball to worry about. Daniel Michel has the closest ball to the jack as it stands. But for how much longer?
It's an interesting supposition you make, them being aware of how close the final is, and you wonder with all athletes, are they able to block that out completely? Are they able to simply play the single shot that's right in front of them, or is there that slight internal monologue just coming in thinking, yes, this is a normal shot, but it's not really a normal shot, it's a very important shot?
Every athlete, I'm sure, will be different at this stage of the competition. You often hear athletes saying they take every competition or every race or every match or whatever it is on face value, but you'd have to think at this point, in the final end of the semi-final, when you're 3-all, you can't help but think, I'm pretty close here. So it is Daniel Michel who takes his penultimate ball of the match, of the end, and potentially of the semi-finals if we don't go to a tie-break. Selena Hernandez just getting out the torch here to see where the light shines through after this delivery from Daniel Michel. He's just pushing on his own blue ball to be a bit closer to that jack, but Adam Peška's is pretty close, and it still looks like it's Adam Peška who holds the advantage in the final few moments of this semi-final match in the individual BC3.
Oh, it's a tight one, this, isn't it?
It is. It's a nervy old time. Final ball for the Australian. 30 seconds is called. He must take this delivery in the allotted time.
Very tempting here for an athlete to play too fast.
It's gone for a slower ball, which doesn't quite reach. So
Muted celebrations with the flag. Are they well judged?
it's always interesting when you see the sidelines there and you see the two different teams at this point in the competition. The Australian team looking quite nervous and worried at this point, with the Czech Republic flag being shown by one of the team. Like he's asking for the score here.
Pressure on the officials too.
Time's stopped there.
That's
And
why.
that's it.
That's why. No need to play it, because the job has been done.
So that's it then. Adam Peška has booked himself a place into the finals of the individual BC3 Boccia tournament. He takes a 4-3 win over the Australian Daniel Michel. Adam Peška in his first games in the Paralympics. And he puts himself in a good place to potentially win a gold medal.
What a performance from young Adam Peška, world number 8, against a player 4 places higher in the world rankings. Debut Paralympian. This is absolutely superb from him.
Well, he missed a penalty, but it doesn't matter anymore because he's still taken this game 4-3. Confirmation there then in the individual BC3 semi-final. It is Adam Peška who books himself a place into the finals of the matches here. And it will be Daniel Michel who still has a chance to fight it out for the bronze medal, of course, so He's still in medal contention. However, Adam Peška will almost definitely win gold or silver here at the Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games.
You've got a feel for Daniel Michel after a performance like that, after the kind of Paralympics he's had. He's played so well. He produced an excellent almost comeback. He was almost there, so close. He was up against it from the conclusion of the first end, trailing by 3 without reply, got back to 3 apiece, and then narrowly by 1 single point. We posed the question whether Peška might be wondering what might have been with that penalty. Well, no, not the case, because he gets across the line and just about. Great drama, great contest, and 2 splendid athletes.
Now biting finish to that match for sure. Thought we might have to get the popcorn out if we were going to go to a tie-break, but Adam Peška managed to get it done in that final deciding end in the BC3 mixed individual semi-final. And what a performance. Just confirmation with Selena Hernandez here to sign off the match that everyone is happy with the final score. And this is the sort of thing I like to look at, the behind the scenes. Ticking okay, happy with all that. Just to make sure the athletes are happy with the final scoreline, which is 4-3 to the man from the Czech Republic in his first Paralympic Games. The world number 8, Adam Peška, is through to the finals.
And now for BC3 gold medal match, Greece's Grigorios Polychronidis is going to take on Czech Republic's Adam Peska. BC3 bronze medal match, Great Britain's Scott McCowan will take on Australia's Daniel Mitchell.
and welcome to day 7 of the Tokyo Paralympic Games here at the Ariake Gymnastics Centre. Day 4 of the Boccia tournament here in Japan. We've seen a fascinating tournament so far, but we're through to the semi-final matches now. Individual BC1 semi-final taking place here at the Ariake Gymnastics Centre. Court 4 is the one we're going to be watching, and we're up for an amazing competition between two incredible athletes.
David Smith of Great Britain to take on José de Oliveira of Brazil. And this is how they have reached this stage of the competition. Obviously, they will have done it with a whole sequence of victories. You don't get to this stage of the competition one away from a guaranteed Paralympic medal without accumulating a great run of results. And for David Smith, that loss to Eduardo Sanchez Reyes of Mexico in the group stage, something of a distant memory. The reigning Paralympic champion, the reigning world champion, the reigning European champion, Mr. Triple Crown. The finest out there, but that only lasts until your next match, until your next defeat, until your next victory, when everything begins again. The 32-year-old will now be taking on a most experienced athlete in the form of de Oliveira. It's the BC1 competition. It's the last 4. And they're the opponent for David Smith of Great Britain, José de Oliveira, 44-year-old from Ribeirão Preto, in the northeast part of São Paulo state.
Will be de Oliveira who starts this match, despite the warm-up just going underway at the moment with David Smith. But red always starts, so de Oliveira will be the first up after a coin toss to determine who goes first. And this is the story of David Smith so far.
It's a story that's got a pretty decent last couple of chapters as well, particularly his victory over Witsanu Huad-Pradi in the quarter-final stage. 6-1 against the world number 2 ranked player. Just that lone blemish, as mentioned before, over Sanchez Reyes. But he followed it up with a wonderful win over Nakamura Takumi in the final group match. Daniel Perez of Netherlands defeated 6-2 at the quarter-final stage by José de Oliveira. But what is most fascinating, perhaps, is not what has been, but what will be for this gentleman, because if you look at his track record, he's so often there or thereabouts. As we are introduced to Kam Wai-chun, the referee for this contest. But back to the Brazilian's track record. 4th in the individual competition in London, 6th in the individual competition in Rio, 6th in the team competition in Rio, 8th in the team competition in London. He's so often been almost on the podium. Almost. What of today?
Especially compared alongside the world number 1 in David Smith, who this is his 4th Paralympic Games. In Rio in 2016, he won gold in the individual BC1. He won gold in the team BC1, BC2 in 2008 in Beijing. He won silver in London in 2012. He won bronze for the team in BC1, BC2, 2012 London. I could go on.
Promise we've got a match to play. But you're right, absolutely.
He's world champion as well, just to add a little bit more to the silverware. So, match getting underway here. There'll be 4 ends. Each player has 6 balls. And the target will be that white ball that has just been set, called the jack. And you must be able to get your ball. So, in David Smith's case, the blue balls, and de Oliveira's, the red ball, must be closest to that jack. The more balls you can get closer compared to your opponent determines the scoreline.
And when put that way, it all sounds so much simpler than, of course, it actually is, because tied up in that is the match management, is the psychology of every single contest, but particularly the psychology of a semi-final match. And when you are playing against somebody, looking at it from the Oliveira's perspective, who always wins the semi-finals, and you are the player that tends not to win the semi-finals, that tends to be almost there. One wonders the extent to which that factors into his thinking at all.
Boccia comes in 4 categories: BC1, BC2, BC3 and BC4. Good start from David Smith there, immediately going quite defensive, rather, attacking is the word I was looking for there, with a lob. As he tries to book his place into the finals. BC1 eligible for assistance. So the team members you see behind both the players are their assistants. They can interact about what they want to do next in the game. The assistants do face the court as well. And these players also will play in the BC1, BC2 teams games as well. So chances for these athletes elsewhere as well to win medals, as well as the individual mixed games.
That is where de Oliveira had success at the Pan American Games in Lima in 2019, part of the team that took a silver medal. Beaten on that occasion by Argentina, but one doesn't tend to say that too loudly around Brazilian competitors. One of sport's enduring and exciting rivalries. 44-year-old is most experienced and intelligent competitor. A cerebral approach to the sport.
That is a good second ball from the Brazilian. De Oliveira just trying to make it as difficult as possible for David Smith at this point. I know it seems early in the end and early in the match in general, as we've got 4 ends per match. So we're going for ball number 6, which in his red set is a bit of a pacier ball. Let's see what it is in the blue.
Come on.
Another pacey ball. So trying to open it up a little bit more for the man from Great Britain. Just working out exactly here whose turn it is, because if the balls are at equal distance from each other, which that blue and the red look like they could be, the person who last threw the ball that became closest would have to go again. It looks like David Smith is definitely the closer ball though here, and Jose de Oliveira looks to take his 3rd throw. The time at the top left is how long the athletes have to throw per end. So in the BC1 they're given 4 minutes per end, which means it's around 10 minutes these matches, well probably just over 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so, because you have a 1-minute break between ends. BC1 gets 5 minutes per end. Throwing the jack is included in that time as well.
He went for power here and has changed the shape of things.
He has left it open though for David Smith here early on in the end.
I think de Oliveira's reaction indicated he was more than aware of that, wasn't he?
I think so. David Smith, however, with an early advantage here in end 1. Might go for a lob here. Yep.
Yeah.
Happy with that. Let's see where it's landed. Quite close to the jack, it appears, and it is the closest in this match so far. So, Jose de Oliveira steps into the box. Gonna have a quick look at it. See the replay of this ball. Nice.
Just moments when you watch Smith and his shot selection. It's a player who has absolute mastery over the object. Complete command of the field of play.
World number 5 is the Brazilian.
Oh, go. Yeah.
Based now in Uberaba, in Minas Gerais, in the southeast of Brazil. Both of these players relocating for sporting purposes. Not quite as long a journey for Smith from Southampton to Swansea, but then when one sets into context the geography of Brazil, most nations come up with shorter internal journeys.
Just trying to push on his own ball there a little bit closer to the jack. Wasn't quite able to do it, however, has put two of the balls much closer than they were. Nice ricochet off towards the jack.
It's been so interesting studying the delegations throughout this session. The tension as you look at the British and Brazilian delegations is palpable. The whole atmosphere has changed with this being the semi-final stage. It's muted, to say the very least. It won't be when one of them's victorious, then the whole place will come to life like nobody's business.
You can definitely feel the tension in the arena as these semi-final matches get underway. See what that means to the Brazilian. Happy with that one. That was his final ball of the end.
Very well played one too.
Just pushed on his own ball, closer to the jack. David Smith coming to have a look. That remains in his allocated time when he wants to come and see exactly what's going on in the court. But as he's got 3 minutes left to take 3 balls, he's got a little bit of time to spare. So, first end. David Smith, 3 balls remaining.
He's not a player who ever seems to lack clarity when it comes to making a decision. He makes his call, knows what he's going to do, doesn't waste time.
Pacey ball. You heard David Smith cheer a little bit there. But the ball did go out. So he's just trying to open it up a little bit more by removing those 2 balls that are quite close to the jack. That one remaining ball from de Oliveira is still nestled in quite nicely, but there is that open gap that David Smith will attempt to place his ball in. The problem is if you do that, you push it a bit closer to the red. Penultimate ball of the end for David Smith. Not particularly happy with that one, and you can sort of see why. Not quite probably the placement he was hoping for in that one. It's knocked itself into splitting up those 2 reds, but not really gaining much of an advantage for the man from Great Britain.
Yeah, ponderous reaction from Smith, much to contemplate, but plenty of time in which to do it. Though one suspects that clock seems to be running down much faster when you've got a tough decision to make.
Yeah, I'm sure it can sneak up on you quite quickly, even if you're the world number one.
1 minute.
Talking of which,
Final ball, going to be a pacey one, I think, from David Smith.
Yeah.
and it is.
It is, but I don't think he's won this end here. We're going to have to just take a quick look. He has not. So it'll be Jose de Oliveira who takes a 1-0 lead in the first end. He's just come in to have a quick look at it to make sure he is happy, but you can see Kanwei Chun has got one already up on the paddle. We're just seeing the replay again. Yeah. Difficult end for David Smith there, but you have to say Jose de Oliveira has really played a defensive game there. And despite David Smith still having a couple of balls left at the end of that end, which could put him in a better position, actually impressive work from Jose de Oliveira to stop that. So first end over, 1-0 to the Brazilian Jose de Oliveira, with David Smith having to come back from a deficit here in the second end in the individual BC1 semi-final here at the Ariake Gymnastics Centre.
Yeah. Come on. Yeah.
It's well set up for a compelling remainder of the contest between David Smith and Jose de Oliveira. So we are to commence the second end. Second of 4. And really for a player like the Brazilian, who is obviously to all and sundry taking on the favourite for the competition, then if he can inflict a little scoreboard pressure on the British athlete as the contest goes on, if he can just make small incremental advantages to force Smith to chase when he doesn't do a lot of chasing in contests, when he tends to be the controlling influence, then all will be well. Of course, all of that is extremely easy to hypothesise when you don't actually have to play the shots.
So the jack is set for end 2, and David Smith has played a throw that he shrugged his shoulders at, because he's left the jack incredibly open for Jose de Oliveira.
Or can he now take the gift he's been given? Has been a World Championship medalist in team competition in Beijing in 2014. At the World Championships in Liverpool, he finished in 7th place. Those World Championships which were won by the gentleman he's facing today, but he is looking confident, looking well settled into this match, the 44-year-old.
Accuracy was good on that first ball from de Oliveira. He had quite an open goal there, despite it not being on his side of the court. I don't think that ball will stay there for long if David Smith has anything to do with it. So that's a tight one. We might have to get out the torch for this one to see exactly who's closest. Kanwei Chun just taking a look. See who she decides is closer. So it's David Smith, so that could mean that they're actually quite similar in positioning, and that's why David has to go again. Or I think it means that Jose de Oliveira is just a little smidge closer.
We'll leave you all at home to argue about that one amongst yourselves.
Breaks.
Does sometimes come down to absolute millimetres.
Excellent from David Smith there. Just knocked off, pushed off Jose de Oliveira. His defending ball that was sitting quite close to the jack that was currently leading the way in this end.
Yeah, that's ended the discussion about how close things were. Emphatically, it's how you seize control and change the destiny of the end. He's got great variety to his game. So many different shots at his disposal. All of them technically quite masterful.
David does have a number of balls that you can use. Most players do. A mixed set of balls. Some are softer than others. Some are covered in suede. And they all have a very different point. And you can use them in different parts of the end to gain an advantage. And most players are quite similar. You'll see they all look a little bit different. That's because some are softer, some are harder. This is when the tactics really come in. You don't want to use your soft ball too early and need it a bit later. And you also don't want to use a harder one and then need a smash.
Well, he's played a shot of quality.
Opening up this match just once again is Jose de Oliveira.
Brazilian team brought a very strong group of athletes to the 2019 Pan American Games. They were the dominant force in Boccia, winning 7 medals, 3 of them gold. Many of those competitors now here in Tokyo, including the gentleman that you're looking at.
Oliveira just coming out of the box to have a better look at the positions of all the balls on the court. Two minutes left of his 5 allocated minutes. Needs to make sure all the wheels are included inside the box, or you do face a penalty. So not only do you have to concentrate on the positioning to get the best shot, you also have to make sure that you are legal in the game. So he's actually pushed off the wrong ball, I would say, there. He's pushed David Smith a little bit closer to the jack, which is probably not what he was after. Still plenty to come, though, in this end. He's still got 3 balls remaining. That's a better shot.
Good recovery shot that, wasn't it?
David Smith still the ball that is closer as it stands, but Jose de Oliveira definitely trying to open this end up a little bit more. Interesting to see. All blue one side, all red the other side. 1 minute is called then for the Brazilian with 2 balls remaining. It's just gone a little bit too wide of the target, I would suggest. One ball. Only 5 seconds left on the clock for this final ball of this end for Jose de Oliveira. He's just tried to push off David Smith's ball there, but as you can see, that blue ball is still the ball that's closest to the jack. And actually what he's done here is open the game up a bit for David Smith to gain quite an advantage at the end of this. And he's got quite a few balls left to do it in. 3 minutes and 3 balls. And he's been given a little bit of a gift there, if he can capitalise on that.
Has to be regarded, is it not, as a major opportunity for the 32-year-old from Great Britain.
Trailing 1-0 in this end, in this game.
Oh,
excellent.
Well, that will go some way to allowing him to finish this end on a high. That was beautifully played, and now there is enticing space for David Smith to work with.
You just hear him say, I thought that felt good. It was good, David. It was an excellent shot. Just cleared 3 balls in one swoop. Look at that. That is excellent. That not only is an excellent shot, but it's also given him a potential 2-0 lead. He's just checking the score. He's doing the same as me. Not sure about that blue that's a little bit further out. So let's see what Kanwei Chun has to say, the referee. He wants to go and have a look himself. Oh, my apologies. No, he wanted the number of the ball. So, another ball closer. That'll be 3-0 as it stands, I believe. A real chance here for David Smith in this semi-final. You have to say this is going to be a positive end to this second part of this match. That'll be 4 from my reckoning.
Well, throughout the session, the point you've been making is that it is so quick for a contest to turn around. It takes so little time, and that has been borne out in this conclusion to the second end. And it's a tough way back now for Jose de Oliveira.
Let's see, it's this ball here we're just going to check out and see exactly. It's definitely 3, but it's that resting ball there that we're just having a double check at. So, referee's made a decision, and we could have said that before we even saw the paddler. That is a 4 for blue. So David Smith then turning it around in the second end. It was the Brazilian Jose de Oliveira who won the first end, but David Smith has come back into this and taken a 4-1 lead heading into the halfway point of this semi-final for the individual BC1, looking to book their place into the final.
It's one of the enduring cliches of sports psychology, of sports journalism to say it, but cliches often have an element of truth in them, and big players take advantage of doors that are ajar, and that door was left open by Jose de Oliveira. Now, some players might have come away with a couple of points out of it, maybe 3. Smith, the kind of player who just takes every single chance. It's a big score. Big performance as well from the world number 1.
2016 Paralympic BC1 individual champion, as well as teams. But here we go into N3, where it is going to be Jose de Oliveira who sets the jack, trailing 4-1 in this third end.
One would be foolish to write off this gentleman. He's been playing now for a couple of decades. He has achieved huge success at international level. He was given a most prestigious award at the Sports Memorial Tribute in Uberaba, where he's now based, last year, recognising those who've made a quite exemplary contribution to the history of sport in the city. Trying to make a little more history here in Tokyo.
It's a good ball from Jose de Oliveira to start there. It's not quite touching the jack, but
6.
you don't really want it to for the first one, because you want to try and defend the jack as much as you can, even just with one ball on the court, and he has done that quite well here against David Smith, trying to make it as difficult as he can for the world number one.
Yeah!
Hasty smash there, opening it up a little bit. You could see from David Smith's expression afterwards that he hoped it might open up a little bit more, I think. But regardless, he has opened the jack up and he's given himself more of an advantage.
It's rare that David Smith exudes an air of dissatisfaction. So well does he tend to play. But probably what is dissatisfying to David Smith would be most satisfactory to a lot of other players. So high is the level that he's capable of. For that reason and many others, made a member of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire in 2017. Just like his opponent's day, he's been recognised for his extraordinary contribution to elite level sport. First time he ever played the sport was at the National Junior Games at Stoke Mandeville. There, that name reappearing once again, as it often does, as the spiritual home of the Paralympic movement. Wry smile.
You can see why on that second ball there was that little smile that came out, because a tiny bit less pace and it would have not ricocheted off the jack quite so intensely. He's still the closest ball, however, it's not quite the placement I think he was after there. But at the moment, at this point, N3, he's leading 4-1 in the match.
Now, do we arrive at one of those interesting comparison points? That could be considered something of an opening given to de Oliveira. When de Oliveira gave Smith a chance, okay, that was more concrete a chance. Smith absolutely capitalised. And that's a good shot played by the Brazilian.
That is a good shot. I think the difference you'd have to say at the point for the last end was where we were with the end. It was David Smith who had all the balls remaining and all the time and everything in his pocket really to capitalise and take that 4-0 end win, whereas where we're at now, there's still quite a way of the end to go. 4 balls remaining for David Smith and 4 as well for Jose de Oliveira. Excellent.
He's just got lovely technique, hasn't he? Beautiful to watch him play.
Still a good chance here, though, for Jose de Oliveira, because that might be nestled up next to the jack, but he has still got a good red ball there that he could push on a little closer. But he's going to have to think about removing that blue ball first, or just pushing the jack out a little bit.
he contemplates the decision.
See David Smith just eagerly watching behind, trying a roll on there, but the roll on top didn't quite take. Gets a little bit airborne, but doesn't quite get up onto the two balls. And it actually pushed his red a little further away from the jack. So, still plenty open there for Jose de Oliveira. Just trying to push on there. That's a nice shot. Just trying to push on his ball a little bit closer to the jack, and he seems to have done that pretty well after that shot. Nice, and you can see the defence now that David Smith is going to have to make his way through, and it's a defence of 4 balls.
5.
Going for a pacey ball, I think, here.
Well, this is encouraging the spectacular. Smith tends to deal in the spectacular.
He loves a good smash, doesn't he? Open up the field again for him.
Here it comes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, the red ball's still dominating the jack as it stands at the moment, but he's suddenly given himself a few gaps there. Excellent smash from the world number 1, David Smith, 32 years old. 4th Paralympic Games.
He's so good, isn't he, at changing entirely the shape of an end with one single delivery.
Shot of the game so far for me was in the second end, where he managed to remove 3 balls away from the jack in one smash, and it was quite incredible.
Yeah. Come on.
So, look, he's opened it up completely now with 1 ball remaining. However, you have to think here that Jose de Oliveira still has quite a few balls remaining and enough time to do it in. So he has opened it up for himself, but you have to say here that David Smith has opened it up as well for his opposition. So, final ball.
That will help. Now it's going to be fascinating to see exactly what his senior opponent is able to produce. We go back to the comparison point, the conclusion of the second end, when there were palpable gaps left by de Oliveira for Smith. Now we have almost a mirror image. Can de Oliveira take his opportunity? One feels as though we're at the narrative stage of the match where we say to ourselves, this is a chance he's got to take.
Two balls then remaining for the Brazilian. 1 minute's about to be called. Plenty of time. Just need to see the angle of that one. Still the blue ball closer as it stands, but
1 minute.
de Oliveira still with a great chance here to push on his own ball a little closer to the jack.
Oh, there's the crucial one. That's magnificent.
That was an incredible ball from the Brazilian. He managed to push off David Smith's ball, the blue ball that was there, and nestle it in close to the jack. Look at that, 3 then. It looks like it could be 4. for the Brazilian, Jose de Oliveira. And this is what I mean when I say boccia can change very quickly. And it can. So let's just see if it is 3 or 4.
Well, you thought you'd seen the shot
4.
of the Paralympic Games from Smith in the previous end. De Oliveira disagreed. He said, "You like that? Here's this one for you." That was a virtuoso display for a piece. No wonder the Brazilian delegation reacts as they do.
That is maybe overtaking the shot of the match for me. An incredible finish to that end from Jose de Oliveira, fighting to get into the final of the BC1 individual mixed matches.
Yeah.
And we're going into the final end.
Come on.
4-all. I think you're going to have to get the popcorn ready for this one, because I think we're in for a tense final end. 5 minutes then set on the clock. Advantage is to David Smith, who will set the jack.
Tension, anxiety. That's just us. He seems to be fine.
I was going to say, he's smiling. Another short ball then for David Smith. A softer jack he's playing, it sounds like. You can hear as it has contact with the court what type of ball it really sounds like. And the first ball is to be placed by the world number 1. It's an excellent start from David Smith. That first ball needs to defend the jack, and that's exactly what he's done at this point. So let's see Jose de Oliveira, his first ball.
There is no doubting the excellence of this gentleman as a player, no doubting the quality he has when it comes to producing moments of absolute magic. That end-winning last shot was quite spectacular. What will be so interesting to see is how he now handles being so very close to the Paralympic final, when he has so often been so very close to the Paralympic final and not quite been there.
Tensions are high at the Ariake Gymnastics Centre.
Barely a flicker of movement in the delegations there. They're glued to this. I'm sure you are as well, watching at home. What a pleasure it is to have your company for such a moment of high drama.
No, Jose de Oliveira closest at this point. So that means it's David Smith's go. 6 balls these players have per end. And they must get as many balls as they can closest to the jack from their opponent.
The reigning Paralympic, world, European champion, the man who's won the lot.
I'll be pleased with that one. The placement was a little off, but 4 more balls to go and 4 minutes to throw them in. If he gets a ball closer to the jack, it then becomes Jose de Oliveira. It becomes his go.
What both of these players have demonstrated most ably to their opponent is that if they're given a chance, if there's a loose shot, they will capitalise, they will punish their opponent, and that perhaps increases the level of anxiety that the other player feels in such a dramatic moment.
Measurement is out. I think that's David Smith being closer, but I will trust the measurements over my eye. Let's see what looks like it is closer. That blue ball just slightly closer to the jack at this point, 4-all. So it is Jose de Oliveira who looks to come back in this.
The attention that this match is getting here in the Ariake Gymnastics Centre is fascinating. There's an increasing collection of people gathering with cameras around, people scampering past our commentary position to get down to the field of play and to get the crucial shot as they look to get the crucial shot.
Well, the matches are ending around us as well, so this one definitely captivating quite a few, including us, and I'm sure including you at home. And that is an excellent shot from Jose de Oliveira. Look how much it means to the Brazilian. A unique shot there, excellent skill. Roll on top, a shot with intention of playing the ball, and it remains on top of another ball, and it is literally what it says on the tin, trying to score points against David Smith, and every point at this point is really going to matter. So David Smith, the man up next. 3 balls remaining, 3 minutes left to do it.
Well, de Oliveira has produced 2 of his finest shots of the entire Paralympic Games in the last few minutes.
Yeah!
Oh, that's the end of that then. Gone, just like that. Cheerio. I mean, that's got to be tough to take if you are the Brazilian.
And this is what I mean about if you use your soft ball too early or you use your hard ball too early. And David Smith hasn't. He's thought it through. He's kept that harder ball to be able to smash through the entire field and give himself, once again, the advantage in this semi-final BC1 mixed individuals.
Smith says to de Oliveira, now what have you got? De Oliveira ponders his reply.
It's anything like his previous shot. Could be in for something special.
May well be that kind of match where it is a moment of mercurial brilliance that takes this victory for one of these players and sends them into the final. That was placed exquisitely. Oh, the quality that we're seeing here.
This is an incredible match between these 2 players. Just watch this line. And the accuracy of that ball, not to touch, even just slightly touch David Smith's blue ball. He has left it. The placement was beautiful. If David Smith didn't have any balls left, would be my thought on that, because it does leave it open now for David Smith to be able to remove that that red ball, but the advantage might remain Jose de Oliveira, who has 3 balls remaining, whereas David Smith's only got this one. And that could be the shot that gets him through to the final. What a brilliant effort from David Smith, the world #1 there. You can see what it meant to him as well, the cheering, but now it is incredibly tense because we have 3 balls remaining for Jose de Oliveira's. And David Smith has run out of balls.
It feels as though we've had about half a dozen match-winning shots that have been played in the last 5-10 minutes or so. The quality is worthy of a semi-final stage at the Paralympic Games.
My maths just slightly letting me down there. 1 more ball remaining for David Smith. And as we know, 1 ball can change an entire match here. So de Oliveira with 3 balls remaining, 1 minute left to do it. That means the shots won't be taken. They'll be taken much quicker than maybe he would want them to be. A lob there. Probably didn't quite work out how he hoped it would. 2 balls remaining. 55 seconds to do it in.
The psychology of this situation is fascinating, excruciating, depending on who you're supporting. He's under real pressure. Time does not favour him.
This is one of the most tense matches we've seen so far. 4-4 in the fourth end, looking to put their place into the... Oh, that could have been... So what Jose Oliveira was trying to do there is push the jack further away from David Smith. Wasn't quite able to do it on that ball. Let's see what we've got in the final delivery. Double check, that is the final. This will be the final delivery for Jose de Oliveira. And the match comes down to these final 2 balls. So that is, as it stands, David Smith, who has booked his place into the finals of the BC1 individual matches. Let's just get confirmation with his final ball. He might not take it. Let's see what he's deciding to do.
You can have nothing but sympathy for Jose de Oliveira, who has played an absolutely superb contest. And he's come out of it, as so many come out of things, second best to David Smith. But, well, it's been a brilliant display. It's been a wonderful occasion in terms of the quality of shot selection. And David Smith will know that he was given a right old fight by Jose de Oliveira.
So the dream is not over for David Smith to battle it out for gold in the individual BC1. The finals coming up, but it will be David Smith who books his place into the finals. Commiserations for the Brazilian Jose de Oliveira. Some fantastic shots from the Brazilian, especially in those final 2 ends. And it was a tense end for everybody here. Celebrations from the Great Britain team. Confirmation there of the 7-4 win for David Smith in this semi-final. And it is the 32-year-old that will be meeting someone in the final. What a fantastic match we've just seen there between these two. The world number 5 versus the world number 1. It went to 4-4 in the final end. And we saw some fantastic shots from both players. Some really impressive play. And it was one of the most tense matches I think I've ever watched of Boccia. But it will be David Smith who is into the finals. He will win either gold or silver in these Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games. The reigning world champion, the reigning Paralympic champion. And can he do it again? We'll find out.
It was the same.
We now have the results at the scoreboard.
さあ、それではただいま終わりました試合の結果をお知らせいたします。そしてこの試合の結果により決勝に進出が決定しました選手の皆さんをご紹介いたします。
On court 3, BC1 semi-final, Malaysia's Chiu Wei Lun wins 9-5 against Portugal's Andre Ramos and earns a ticket to gold medal match.
さあ、まずは第3コートです。BC1 準決勝。
Well, the most extraordinary of conclusions. We can barely contain ourselves, can we?
We've had a lovely time.
We don't know whether to be quiet, we don't know whether to keep talking. Well, you probably want us to be quiet listening at home, but we must reflect upon the most extraordinarily dramatic of conclusions to this boccia action at the Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games. It ends with advancement for David Smith into the gold medal contest, but one of just a number of enthralling, engrossing stories that we've seen in the Ariake Gymnastics Centre. It's been a great advertisement for the sport.
So what a day we've seen in the boccia here. It's been a fantastic day of semi-final action at the Ariake Gymnastics Centre. For day 4 of the boccia tournament, David Smith was the first on court. The world number 1 managed to win 6-1 in the end there. Then we saw the Australian Daniel Michel taking on Adam Peschke. Peschke was the winner there, 4-3, and we've just seen a fantastic semi-final with David Smith booking himself into the finals of the individual BC1 competition at the Ariake Gymnastics Centre, beating Jose de Oliveira. Finally here, 7-4. What a day we've seen. Finals coming up. Who will win gold in the BC1 individual mixed category?
BC4 gold medal match, Slovakia. Would like to thank all volunteers for their time and dedication toward making Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games a success.
皆様、本日のボッチャをお楽しみいただけましたでしょうか。皆様の東京2020パラリンピック